Hello. Hello and welcome to our Wednesday, April 20, 2022 program. This is Shimelis Gebremichael with UMD News Package for today. We invite you all to stay with the program, and for your feedbacks, please use our email address newstips2020umd@gmail.com. UMD extensively works in understanding, measuring, and doing matters. Our news team attempts to update you with the latest in Ethiopia, the Horn, Africa, and the world in general. Any of your support, including the provision of news tips, comments, questions, and suggestions, are always welcomed. Before we jump into our news package today, here are the headlines for the major news over the last couple of days. UN Security Council meets over security humanitarian aid in Tigray. Drought visits a death and misery upon residents in the arid north of Kenya. Experts call protection of religious symbols in African conflict zones. What is it that the experts are talking about? How are they evaluating the situation? Our News in Detail segment today has the answer to these and similar questions. Now, we will move into providing more information on these and other news items. As we always say, please do not forget to like and share our programs and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, view the programs in other platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn. Now, we will jump into the news in brief. First up, Ethiopia launched a national dialogue, but divisions run deep. As an 18-month war grinds on, Ethiopia is gearing up for a national dialogue amid at bridging the country's many fault lines, chronicled the new humanitarian newspaper. According to these sources, opposition figures are accusing the government of trying to orchestrate the process, as some groups, including those in armed conflict with the government, have not been invited. The commission, tasked with overseeing the 3-year national dialogue process, was established in late December, shortly after government soldiers and allied militia repulsed a southward advance from forces aligned to the Tigray People's Liberation Front that came within roughly 200 kilometers of the capital, Addis Ababa. So far, officials have been vague about the aims of the dialogue and what structure it will take, tackling fundamental questions over Ethiopia's future as a federal or unitary state. Last month, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed urged all Ethiopians to participate in the initiative, which he described as a golden opportunity. It was expected that it would address the political challenge the country has been facing for centuries and lay the groundwork of our future. Despite these moves, the country is still suffering with conflicts and wars over land grabbing and other political and social tensions. UN Security Council meets over security, humanitarian aid in Tigray. The UN Security Council recently discussed the latest development in Ethiopia's conflict-ravaged Tigray region. Security and humanitarian issues were the focus of the closed-door meeting. The meeting noted that thousands of people have died and hundreds of thousands have been displaced since the Tigray war broke out in November 2020. Currently, millions of Tigrayans remain in famine-like conditions because of being unable to access food and medical aid, leading to several days. Ambassador Barbara Woodward, permanent representative of the United Kingdom to the UN, told journalists in a media recently briefing that in northern Ethiopia, people are suffering of extreme hunger and physical and psychological impacts of the war. Woodward, who is also the president of the Security Council for the month of April, said people in northern Ethiopia and a quarter of all Ethiopians will require life saving humanitarian assistance this year, including 90% of the population in Tigray. Russian embassy denies long queues of Ethiopians to join Russian army. The Russian embassy in Addis Ababa denied pictures and information circulating on social media showing long queue of Ethiopians at the entrance of the embassy, where Ethiopians waiting in line to join the Russian army in its invasion of Ukraine. According to Addis Standard, the embassy has admitted the queue was that of Ethiopians lined up to show solidarity. Russian embassy press attaché Maria Chernukina told the Al In website that Russia has not advertised to recruit Ethiopians for the war in Ukraine, and the information circulating social media is false. But she said it was true that Ethiopians had gone to the embassy to show their solidarity with Russia. The press attaché also said that many Ethiopians were sending email and delivering messages in person that they are on Russia's side in the war against Ukraine, and Russia thanks them. Meanwhile, the embassy of Ukraine in Addis Ababa informed a fact-checking website EthioCheck that this is a tragic happening. If an Ethiopian dies in this war, it will be a tragedy for both Ukraine and Ethiopia. Critics are looming that Ethiopians who didn't tend to have guts to say no to aggression within their country could even go further than this. Hence, it doesn't make the phenomenon a surprise. 348 Ethiopians repatriated from Saudi Arabia. According to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ethiopia has repatriated some 348 citizens from Saudi Arabia on Monday, April 18, 2022. Ethiopia had set up a national committee drawn from 16 government agencies to repatriate its citizens that have been under difficult situation in Saudi Arabia. The 348 Ethiopians who have arrived in Addis Ababa today or last Monday are part of the repatriation program being carried out by the government. According to All African News, the nation planned to repatriate about 102,000 of its citizens from Saudi Arabia over the next 7 to 11 months. Drought visits days and misery upon residents in the arid north of Kenya. The gates of hell are wide open in the northern part of Kenya. From biting poverty, acute hunger, and unforgiving weather conditions to bloodthirsty bandits, everything has gone wrong in the drought stricken region of the country. Despair hangs on the faces of locals and the hope of getting any the relief form of relief. The bleating of goats and sheep and mooing of cows characteristic of this region's ambience. For a region inhabited predominantly by nomadic pastoralists, sightings of herds traveling the dry lands in search of pasture is rare. There is nothing to herd, and worse, there is neither pasture nor water. Most of their livestock have died due to drought, leaving them without source of livelihood. About 12 children have reportedly died of hunger at Illert Ward in County. According to the National Drought Management Authority, at least 2.8 million Kenyans are have faced with starvation as a result of a national disaster was declared. We will now move to one story we have chosen to present to you in more details. Experts call protection of religious symbols in African conflict zones. This is a report by Washington Examiner on its April 15, 2022 edition, and the writers are James Carr and Frederick Davy. The writers start their composition saying, amid a brutal political conflict in the Tigray region of northern Ethiopia, armored troops attacked the holy city of Aksum, a city of major significance for Ethiopian Orthodox Christians. They added, close by, fighters also shelled and looted the Al Najashi Mosque, one of the oldest mosques in the world, believed to have been built during the time of the Prophet Muhammad by the first Muslim to migrate to Africa. Incidents such as these attacks are not uncommon in African countries experiencing political conflicts and civil war. Assaults against houses of worship, religious leaders, and the objects of spiritual significance are common in many armed conflicts in Africa, even when those conflicts are not fought because of religious differences and where religious actors are not combatants. In February, post election political violence in the Central African Republic left at least 14 dead when an armed group opened fire on mosque in pursuit of members of an opposition militia. In 2017, fighters attacked the Jambi Mosque in the country's southwest, killing 20 worshippers, and in 2018, armed combatants attacked the Notre Dame of Fatima, a Roman Catholic church in the country's capital, killing 16 parishioners. In southwestern Cameroon, religious leaders and houses of worship have been caught between government authorities and armed separatists fighting for independence. Separatists abducted priests for their vocal opposition to separatist tactics. In central Mali, violent Islamist groups pursued a jihadist objective attacked land held sacred by Dagon communities. Many members of the Dagon ethnic group combine Muslim practices with traditional beliefs and local costumes. For this, they are labeled pagans or apostates by violent Salafi groups operating in the region. Katima Masini militias have reportedly targeted and burned traditional gathering places with significant mystical value to Dagon communities. These attacks are not random or coincidental. They are a deliberate effort to undermine authorities held by religious institutions and inflict fear on civilian population. By targeting symbols of spiritual significance, armed groups seek to break the spirit of vulnerable communities and sow an atmosphere of terror to put pressure on their opponents to capitulate. According to these writers, attacks on religious symbols in African conflict are abhorrent. These tactics restrict individuals from worshipping and practicing their faith. They sow religious tensions and exacerbate sectarian violence. They also undermine the role that religious leaders and symbols play as forces for peace and tolerance in preventing these violent outbreaks. US programming in these contexts is often hamstrung by insecurity and lack of access to the most at-risk population. Global actors attempted to remedy this in Mali when, for the first time, they tasked the United Nations peacekeeping mission there with protecting cultural and historical sites. However, the mission received little guidance on how to translate this priority into reality, and the task was removed from the mission's mandate in 2018. Yet we must not abandon these symbols of spiritual significance to their fate. We need creative thinking to uncover alternative policy options for protecting religious symbols in conflict zones. Religious figures and symbols have a strong role to play in reducing violence and fostering interfaith harmony and social cohesion in many African contexts. Armed political actors across the region know this and acting seek to undermine this power by targeting religious leaders and houses of worship. The US government should work with African government and other international partners to prioritize the safety of communities of faith and the protection of houses of worship and religious leaders in the context of political violence. This is UMD Media. Considering this complex issue, UMD has been engaging and continue to engage pertinent scholars. Over the past weekend, there was a panel discussion on this matter. You can go and check and view and listen, please. Well, with that, we come to an end of the news for today. This has been Shimelis Gebremichael here at UMD Media. Please do not forget to like and share our program and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow our programs through our other platforms as well to become the first to know what is going on in Ethiopia, the Horn, Africa, and the world in general. You can easily reach us via our email address newstips2020umd@gmail.com. Thank you for watching and have a good one.